Hi everyone, it's Robin Hicks here again in the Choosing Joy series. Today we're talking about how to shift perspective and choose joy when we end up not getting something that we truly believe was meant for us. Now I know all of you have experienced this before. Unlike some of our other topics, this is something that touches everyone. I've even had this happen to me on a very deep level with a job that I actually was told I was going to have, even waited in the wings for 6 years, doing the backup position, learning all the things, trying all the things, experiencing all the things, so that when my time came, I could fill that position. Because of things that were out of my control, I actually never ended up getting that position and was told that I could not fulfill something that I thought was my absolute career path. And so it was devastating for me. So I had to learn how to shift perspective in that respect and move forward with something that I thought was absolutely what I was going to do with my life. And actually, I can share with you right now that that door closing opened up another door for me that is 100% where I should be and what I should have been doing for the past 10 plus years. So I'm very excited for where my life has gone, and it 100% turned out the way that it was supposed to. So that is what I want to talk to you guys about today. But I want to do it a little bit lighter than the cancer topic or the IVF or the loss. I want to go down the road of pageantry. And I know that not everybody has a connection to pageantry, so bear with me and just enjoy this story as a way to show you that sometimes when we believe that something is meant for us, quite frankly, it works out much better when we don't get what we want. So I've had a little journey with pageantry. I started when I was in high school with our local Miss Victoria pageant system, and I fell in love with that system. I was very successful here, and because of that, I decided to continue my journey. And so growing up, I competed quite a bit in different systems. I was pretty successful in some of the systems that I competed in my 20s, and just grew a love for pageantry. So that's kind of where I want to start. I was in my 20s. I had just gotten done competing in the Miss Texas America system. I only got to do it once because I aged out. And this was back in the day that you had to win a prelim to compete. So I finally won my prelim. I got to compete in Miss Texas, and I ended up making top 12 and being the non-finalist interview winner, which I was super excited about. And if I was only going to get one shot, that was definitely something that I was super proud of. So moving forward into adulthood, I decided to try the Cinderella system. So we have the Texas State Cinderella program here in Texas, and I decided to try for the Texas State Cinderella Woman. Now, mind you, I had just a few years ago got out of Texas America, so I felt pretty prepared for this. And so I decided I was going to join this system, and I was going to try it, and I was going to knock their socks off with everything that I brought with me competing in a big system. And so I went to Texas State Cinderella, and I loved every second, and they really have it down when it comes to big parties and larger than life activities. So even though I was an adult and it's a system that includes babies up to adults, I really had a great time and really connected with the other kids competing. That first year, however, I ended up getting first runner-up. And I can't say that I was devastated like I was when I didn't get the job that I wanted, but I was mildly disappointed. I kind of thought, well, maybe I don't have it. Maybe I'm lacking the skills that I had a few years ago when I was competing. Maybe I'm missing something, or I'm getting too old. But the girl who won was wonderful. She actually did go on to compete in the Miss Texas America system. So we kind of swapped places in that respect. But I kind of took the year to think about things and decide where I wanted to go. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to try again. So here's where the story gets interesting. I decided to go back to the Texas State Cinderella Woman competition, and I compete for the second time. This time, I actually do bring home the crown, which was wonderful and exciting. But that's not the main part of the story. The main part of the story is that 3 weeks after I won, I was, as you know, if you've listened to my other videos, not feeling very well. Something was a little bit off. Long story short, we ended up going to the hospital, and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I went through the entire process of having cancer, chemo, radiation, lost my hair, and I did all of that while I was the reigning Texas State Cinderella Woman. Here's the reason behind why I chose to share this with you today. Being Texas State Cinderella Woman, honestly, any Texas State Cinderella title holder comes with some amazing experiences, one of which pops into my mind right now. When they hold their Christmas pageant, afterwards they give gifts and all of the queens sit, and it's a very humbling experience because people who are at the pageant bring gifts to each one of the queens. Now, I had had my last chemotherapy the morning before this pageant, and it was my hardest chemotherapy. I mean, as you can imagine, every round you do gets harder because you're adding more and more poison to your body. And I just remember being so sick. In fact, we were at the store the day before buying a gift for my director, and the store clerk said, she's pale, you got to get her out of here. And I went home. I must have been running a terrible fever because I remember being freezing when I got home and pulling myself under the covers and being drenched with sweat when I woke up. So it was not fun. And the next day, going to this pageant, I felt miserable. If you've ever done chemotherapy or know someone who has, it is a horrible, very, very sick, almost indescribable feeling. So we load up in the car, and I have to wear my Christmas dress that matches the rest of the court, and I have to put a smile on and fix my non-existent hair to put a crown on it. I think I wore a wig at this point, so I probably had a wig on. But we go all the way to the Christmas pageant in Houston. I'm miserable the whole car ride, but while I'm sitting there and the kids are giving me gifts, I just remember feeling, I get emotional talking about this, so loved, and to be sitting there and feeling so vulnerable and so sick and not knowing what was coming next and having no one to talk to about it because I didn't know anyone who had experienced it, to have such a beautiful show of love towards me was healing, is the best way I can describe it. And I remember getting all the gifts, being so humbled and laying on a bench afterwards because I could barely lift my head. But the moral of this story is that the entire year was experiences like that. I got to go on stage and I got to be the Texas State Cinderella woman, and I got to be introduced at every prelim we did, and I remember dancing solos with a wig on and praying it wouldn't fall off. So many special memories. I remember the greatest gift, and I will tell you guys this, I've had people ask me before, my friend has cancer, what can I do for them that would be a gift that would be the most meaningful? And I always say the most meaningful gift is the one that you get when you think people don't remember what you're going through. When you're first diagnosed, the flowers and the gifts are coming, and that's wonderful, and it makes you feel so much better. So please don't stop doing that. But it was the gifts that I got, like from my Texas State Cinderella royalty family 6 months into treatment, just because to make me feel better, that were the most meaningful gifts for me, because it showed me that people were still thinking about me when sometimes you feel like you're just fighting for yourself. So the reason I'm sharing this story is because I was not meant to win the Texas State Cinderella pageant the first year I competed. And thank goodness I didn't. And I'm glad that I didn't go in and sweep it like I thought I was going to. I am so glad, because I needed that title the next year. I needed those people to love me the way they did the next year when I went back. I needed to have those moments with that crown, with no hair, to feel better and to push through something that was a very difficult time for me. So you see, God's timing is always perfect. And I think that's probably the key here. I know I talk about this in almost every video, but we have a big picture God, and he sees this beautiful picture where all the pieces fit, and we only see this tiny, tiny piece of it. And so when we don't get what we want in this tiny piece, we are frustrated and we're disappointed and we want to know why. But the reality is he has this bigger picture, and his story that he's writing is so much better than the one we're writing. And that's the story that we truly deserve. So I want to share with you guys, in light of all the fun pageantry talk, I have competed in the Mrs. World, and as I said, it's been difficult, harder than I thought it would be, but I've been having such a great time and I'm learning so much. And if you've ever competed, you gain confidence and you gain friends, and it's a wonderful experience. And every time I compete, I come home feeling better about myself and stronger in who I am and who I want to become. So that being said, I have thought long and hard about competing as an adult and moving forward in what I want to do. And so I want to share with you all right now, and y'all are the first people to know, no one else knows, that I have accepted the title of Mrs. Victoria Petite, and I will be competing for Mrs. Texas Petite in November in San Antonio. So I'm going to go into this pageant the same way that I'm asking you to start viewing things that happen in your life. If I go to Mrs. Texas Petite, that I'm going to prepare extremely hard for and be 100% ready for, and I do not bring home the crown, it is because God has a better plan for me and He has written a better story. And it might be that I get the crown next year, and that's the year that I really need it. Thank you guys for listening to my story today. I hope that it's helped you in some way. If you like this video series, please like, love, share, subscribe to my channel. There's a lot more to come, more interviews to come. Until then, I hope to find each of you intentionally choosing joy.